gas prices in Canada experienced a historic drop. What's behind it? Canadians have recently seen a noticeable dip at the pumps, with gas prices falling by as much as 15 to 20 cents per liter since the beginning of April. One of the key factors is the end of the consumer carbon price. April 1st marked its official removal, a move made by the federal Liberals ahead of the election. While the industrial carbon tax for large emitters remains, the average driver is now saving significantly. It's one of the biggest gas price decreases we've ever seen across Canada. That goes to show how much the carbon tax has been costing Canadians, said Patrick D. Hahn, a petroleum analyst with Gas Booty. Still, the carbon tax isn't the only player in the game. Global market trends are also contributing. Oil prices are hovering near four-year lows due to fears of a looming recession, sparked in part by U.S. tariffs. As demand outlook drops, so does the price of oil, which affects everything from road travel to industrial shipping. OPEC+, the international oil group, recently decided to increase production. D. Hahn noted, a week ago, OPEC+ decided to increase production faster than ever before. More supply often leads to lower prices at the pump. However, he warned this isn't necessarily sustainable. Cheap oil is bad news for economies worldwide. Even so, drivers are reaping the benefits. The national average is now around $1.30 per liter, compared to $1.63 a year ago. A standard 50-liter tank now costs about $15 less to fill, and the savings are even greater for larger vehicles like SUVs and trucks. The broader economic implications remain uncertain. Doug Bartoli, CEO of Calgary-based Implay Oil, urged patience. Don't make any rash decisions. Let's take a longer view of things and see where it all settles out. With summer driving season approaching, demand is expected to pick back up, possibly driving prices upward again. In the meantime, many Canadians are enjoying the rare relief at the pump and perhaps filling up their tanks a little more eagerly. Putin may appear unshakable, but his fall will be swift and unexpected, warns Vladimir Murza. The prominent Kremlin critic was freed last August in a prisoner swap between Russia and the West, following 2.5 years of imprisonment. Speaking on France 2's 20 Heures, Murza shared his ordeal, sentenced to 25 years in a Siberian prison, which he described as almost a death sentence. Murza narrowly survived the poisonings. His crime, opposing Putin's so-called special operation in Ukraine. Now free, he views the release of Russian political prisoners as a very important message of solidarity from the democratic world. The exchange that secured his freedom, he says, was a miracle made possible by the public opinion of democratic countries. He reflected, Vladimir Putin's regime seems stable and eternal until the moment it falls. It will be swift. It will be unexpected.
Canadians divided on election issues and leadership style. Poll shows a recent Abacus data poll reveals a sharp divide in what's driving Canadians' votes ahead of the federal election, with emotional mindsets shaping both issue priorities and leadership preferences. According to Abacus's Eddie Shepard and CEO David Colato, the Conservatives resonate with those in a scarcity mindset, voters seeking immediate relief and system disruption, while the Liberals connect with those in a precarity mindset, who are more focused on navigating uncertainty and restoring long-term stability. Surveying 2,000 adults from March 20th to 25th, the poll found that affordability is the top concern for 31% of voters. Another 19% cited U.S. President Donald Trump's trade policies as a significant factor. On affordability, 40% trust Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives, while 33% prefer Mark Carney and the Liberals. But on Canada-U.S. relations, 51% favor the Liberals, compared to 28% for the Conservatives. The divide extends across other top issues. Voters believe Conservatives are better equipped to handle the economy, crime, and taxes, especially government spending, where they lead 63% to 18%. The Liberals, however, are the preferred party on health care, climate change, housing, and international affairs. Leadership style is also key. Voters are nearly evenly split on what kind of leader Canada needs. About 34% want a Canada-first economic approach. A further 29% prioritize affordability and challenging elites, a core theme of Poilievre's campaign. Lesser emphasized priorities, such as rebuilding trust and strengthening global influence, also revealed partisan divides. This signals that in the upcoming election, how leader leads disruptive versus stabilizing may matter just as much as what they promise to do, Abacus noted. When asked about leadership style, 42% want steady, gradual change, 18% want bold disruption, and 34% prefer a mix of both. Among those favoring stability, Carney leads with 47% support versus Poilievre's 31%. But among those craving disruption, Poilievre dominates, 48-27%. Both party bases show similar interest, about 38%, and a blended approach. Abacus says the key for both leaders is to bridge these contrasting visions of change.
If you like this news and want more updates relating to this, please like, share, and subscribe.
Tourists are canceling trips to the U.S. Here's where they're going instead. The U.S. has long been one of the world's top travel destinations, attracting millions with cities like New York and San Francisco and national parks like Yosemite. In 2023, it welcomed 66.5 million visitors, with projections pointing to even higher numbers in 2024. However, recent developments suggest this momentum may not continue into 2025. Donald Trump's 2020 for re-election has triggered significant shifts in international sentiment toward the U.S. According to a report by Tourism Economics, inbound travel is now expected to fall by 5.5% instead of the nearly 9% growth once projected. If trade disputes escalate, the country could lose up to $18 billion in tourism revenue next year. Canada, the largest source of international tourists to the U.S., is already showing signs of pulling back. Following Trump's new 25% tariffs on Canadian goods, cross-border traffic has dropped by as much as 45% at some points. Air Canada has announced flight reductions to certain U.S. destinations due to falling demand. A poll by Ledger found that 36% of Canadians with U.S. travel plans had already canceled. Meanwhile, OAG data shows bookings on Canada-US routes are down more than 70% from last year. Even a 10% dip in Canadian travel could cost the U.S. $2.1 billion in 140,000 tourism jobs. Hostile political rhetoric and polarizing policies are contributing to the decline. Tourists cite discomfort with anti-foreigner, anti-LGBTQ language, and stricter immigration policies. Western Europe, which made up 37% of U.S.-bound overseas travel in 2024, is seeing growing skepticism. A March YouGov poll found unfavorable opinions of the U.S. at record highs, 53% in Britain, 56% in Germany, 63% in Sweden, and 74% in Denmark. Border incidents are further eroding trust. In March, a British woman was detained for over 10 days due to a visa issue, while a Canadian woman reported being chained and held in overcrowded jails during a 12-day detention. Mexico, the second-largest market, is also seeing a decline, with February air travel down 6% compared to 2024. Tougher border policies and past declines under Trump's first term suggest a continued drop. Several countries have updated their travel advisories. The UK now warns visitors of possible arrest or detention. Germany issued similar alerts, and multiple European countries have warned transgender and non-binary citizens about strict U.S. entry requirements, including the end of gender-neutral passport options. As U.S. tourism declines, destinations like Bermuda and European countries are seeing increased interest. Canadian bookings in Europe are reportedly up 30% over last summer, with visa delays and rising concerns over human rights. The U.S.'s reputation as a welcoming travel hub is at risk just ahead of major global events like the 2026 World Cup and 2028 Olympics.
There is currently a global measles notice for all Canadians, issued by the Public Health Agency of Canada (PHAC). It urges Canadian travelers to practice health precautions and to get vaccinated to prevent getting a measles infection. To be immune, you must be fully vaccinated, or have had a lab-confirmed measles infection before, the notice says. In addition to the risks to your own health and that of your family, if you become infected with measles while traveling, you may spread it to those who are not vaccinated upon your return to Canada. Other countries around the world with an increased number of measles cases include Yemen, Pakistan, India, Thailand, Ethiopia, Romania, Afghanistan, Indonesia, Kyrgyzstan, and Vietnam. The New York Health Department said, the measles spreads through respiratory particles in the air when an infected person breathes, talks, coughs, or sneezes in a space shared with others who are not protected, PHAC says. The measles can remain in the air for up to 2 hours. It can spread from person to person or by touching contaminated surfaces. Initial symptoms include fever, cough, runny nose, and red, watery eyes. A rash develops after 3 days to a week, first on the face and then spreads to the body. It usually takes 2 to 3 weeks to recover, but there can be severe complications, including death.